my honor to warmly welcome Vice Chancellor and Federal Minister for Economic Affairs and Climate Action, Dr. Robert Habeck, to deliver a keynote address. Please, Minister.
So, right, good morning everyone, and dear friends from Iceland, dear ministers, welcome in Berlin and in Germany. Thank you very much for arranging this conference. Thank you very much for being here. When we walked in, we just discussed, just in the 2 minutes we had, the possibilities of cooperation of the future, and we identified one problem. Iceland and Germany, they are not neighbors. They are quite far away, but in a way, of course, we are neighbors, as there's only water between us. You said, well, this is one thing we won't change, and we won't change. Therefore, we, of course, have to look into the prospects of cooperation, meaning technical knowledge, meaning planning, and, of course, then deep economic and energy and climate action cooperation. And from a German perspective, especially from a perspective of the German Minister for Climate Action, we are jealous. We look at Iceland and see your endless possibilities. I mean, you have volcanoes, we won't, and we don't have. Your heating system is decarbonized. Your use of renewable energy, hydrogen, or hydro, and geothermal is almost endless. We, as you know, the ones who have visited Germany, we need wind turbines on and offshore and solar energy to decarbonize our economy and in our electric system, and then use the electricity also to decarbonize heating and mobility. And that is a challenge, of course, as we are still a very populated and very high industrialized country. Not all of the countries in Europe still are, but we are. We have high energy-intensive industries. We have steel industry, we have chemical industry, we have aluminium industry, and we are trying to bring more industries to Germany as well. Semiconductors, for example, they also will use energy. So the possibility of getting along with fewer energy is not really given and not the aim, and the possibilities are nothing compared with the possibilities in Iceland. But of course, we want to make use of the best of it. For the ones coming from Iceland and maybe haven't heard the figures, we are now producing something like 50% renewable energy for our electric system. 50% for Germany, that is something, but it took 20 years, 25 years to increase the volume up to 50%. And the aim is to produce 80% of renewable energy in 2030, so in 7 years' time. And the amount of electric energy will increase due to heating pumps and electric vehicles. So you see the challenge. We have to treedouble the speed of the scale-up of renewable energy, and that is wind turbines and solar. Wind turbines onshore and offshore. Onshore, it's always a problem due to bird directives and environmental protections, and of course not all of the people in Germany are fans of wind turbines. And I admit they are changing the landscape. The memory of your childhood becomes different if you look to the horizon and see some windmills. So, of course, there's a cultural problem there. But what shall I say? We have to do that. And we have to do that on 2% of the space of Germany, only 2%. But, of course, only 2%, you can see the windmills over hundreds and maybe thousands of meters. So there is a challenge, of course. But I would say, positively speaking, we are on the way of getting along. We have changed the direction. The amount of windmills in planning processes and that are erected, they are going up, the numbers. And with solar, we are on the right path. We are seeing figures as never before in Germany. So this is really something. But this is just to give you an impression where we are standing and what we are doing. Coming to the potential parts of a cooperation between Germany and Iceland, offshore may be the most important thing. The German plans for increasing the volume of offshore wind turbines is up to 30 gigawatt in 2030. Just to give you an impression, it's always almost the same as offshore, as onshore. We have now 8 gigawatt offshore windmills installed, 8 gigawatt, and it took 20 years. Now we will increase the volume up to 30 in 2030, so 7 years' time, 3 times the volume, and then going up to 70 gigawatt in 2030. And this is only Germany. The other North Sea neighbors, Denmark, Netherlands, Belgium, Great Britain, Norway, all together we have plans up to 270 gigawatt in 2040. So this is an enormous capacity that is there. And the good thing is that we are now in the neighborhood of the North Sea region. We are coming to a close cooperation, developing the grid, developing the hydrogen pipeline between the different offshore wind farms is now in the planning process. And this only makes sense because if every nation is planning its own grid, then it would be very, very ineffective. So this is really a step forward, and there the northwest European side can show what it is able to do. And maybe that is also a possibility for Iceland to join us, to step in. Of course, the distance between, I don't know, let's say Scotland and France and Germany is nothing compared to the distance to Ireland. But I mean, in the end, it's grid, and I haven't looked it through, but it might be a possibility that we at least think and discuss it. If you have wishes, possibilities there, at least the investment possibilities are there for your companies to invest also in European wind farms. So the offshore cooperation might be one concrete possible step to go really into common projects together. Then the second one is geothermal. I just went along during my remarks to the electric system. One of the problems in Germany coming to climate action is that more than 30% of the CO2 emissions are coming from the heating system. It's not the industries, it's the heating system. And of course, the difference between the industries, let's look at the steel sector, very strong in Germany, still very strong. It stands for 8% of the CO2 emissions, only the steel sector, but it's 4 companies. So if I want to decarbonize the steel sectors, I have to talk with 4 CEOs. And then I find an agreement or not, but it's 4 CEOs. They have, of course, also their boards. And if we come to an agreement, they can't give me the guarantee that this will work out. And I, of course, have to go to the Chancellor and the Minister of Finance. Well, you know what I'm talking about. But it's nothing compared to the discussion I have with 40 million households in Germany. And they are all different. They have all their different needs. Their houses are isolated or not. They are old or not, whatever. So we are now facing a quite challenging debate in Germany about that, and it's mainly focused on heating pumps and the electrification of the heating system. And the debate was rough in the last weeks and months. The German participants of this audience know what I'm talking about. But of course, this is only part of the change we're going through, and maybe not the most important one. This is not wrong. It's an important part. But in district heating systems, I think we have a better chance for decarbonizing our systems. And this means that we use different sources in district heating systems, that they can also differ, biomass and power to heat, for example, or big heating pumps. But geothermal is, of course, one of the biggest and greatest and cheapest possibilities if we can manage it. And there we have some experience in Germany, but nothing compared to yours. So we want to increase that. We want to increase the numbers of heating systems, also the extension of the heating systems. There are different funding programs on the way and existing, but of course we want to also make use more of geothermal. So this is the second point of cooperation I can imagine that we can work on, using your experience, bring it to Germany. Maybe there are companies, maybe there are experts, there are research institutes here that bring their knowledge to Germany, and of course we have also some knowledge and can cooperate there. Vice versa. Second part, I think we should increase our cooperation in all forms of research and industrial cooperation. The idea behind the economic idea behind the decarbonization is not climate action in itself, but inventing the new systems for Europe. And inventing the new systems means also the production side is of highest importance. So all the possibilities we have, smart metering, electrolyzers, batteries, and so on, I want to see production sites here in Germany and in Europe. And this is maybe the third part. It's not direct in the heart of climate action, but it belongs to climate action that our companies can cooperate and make business models out of that. And the fourth I can imagine is CCS. This is of course obvious that we have some sectors in the industries that from the knowledge of today are impossible to decarbonize. Cement, for example. And there are other emissions that we haven't found the possibility to get rid of them with the systems we have, hydrogen, electrification, renewable energy. We need CCS. And also there, Germany has some restrictions. Right now, it's not possible to apart from research, to really use the technique in Germany. We're going to change that in the course of this year. And then the question is, are there sites in Europe and in Germany where we can bring the CO2 apart from making use of it, CCU? And I know that Iceland has made a decision that you are on your way of bringing storage capacities to the market, and that might also be interesting for German companies. There are other ones as well. You know of Norway, your neighbor, your friendly neighbor, if I can say so. You know of Denmark, maybe. But well, this is in the end a business model and a market that is developing there, and including Iceland and the possibilities of Iceland in the market, I think always makes sense. What I'm trying to say is we have ambitious targets in Germany. We are well underway, on our way. It's complicated as it always is, but I couldn't think of a better partner for a close cooperation than Iceland. And the distance, the local distance, the geographical distance we have does not mean that we have to have an emotional and political distance. So welcome in Berlin. Let's overcome the distance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Habeck. And it's now my great pleasure to welcome onto the podium the Minister for Environment, Energy and Climate, Gudlaugur Thór Thórdarson. Gudlaugur, gjörðu svo vel.
Thank you. And dear Minister, members of the German Bundestag, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you today at this event organized by the Embassy of Iceland in Berlin and Green by Iceland with the title Our Climate Future. Iceland has set itself a clear vision for sustainable energy future as outlined in our long-term energy policy to the year 2050. Two key pillars of the policy are energy security and sustainability, reflecting the need to pursue both in harmony. We have enhanced our ambition when it comes to the objectives of the Paris Agreement to achieve at least 55% net greenhouse gas emission reduction by 2030 compared to 1990, by acting jointly with the European Union and its member states and Norway. Our goal is to become carbon neutral and the first fossil fuel-free country by 2040. I believe we have a lot to offer in energy matters. In Iceland, you can get a peek into a future which everyone strives for now. A fully renewable electricity and heating system with close to zero carbon footprint. Iceland ventured through the energy transition of these sectors decades ago, after the oil crisis of the time, and some of them also almost 100 years ago. And now, today, over 85% of primary energy use in Iceland comes from renewable resources. We don't use any nuclear power or natural gas. The only fossil fuels in use today are in the mobile sectors, transports on land, ships, and aviation. There we also are hard at work and have the second highest rate per capita of new registrations of electric and plug-in hybrid cars worldwide. We have achieved this mainly through two policies. First, we have for a long time had financial incentives for customers to buy low and zero emission cars in the form of tax and fee breaks. Second, the government has supported building a network of charging points, not least in rural areas. We have done this by grants that match initiatives by power companies and private actors. This has helped us to get maximum benefit for public money. A comprehensive network of charging points is of key importance in sparsely populated country like Iceland, as any geographical bottleneck has bad effect on drivers' confidence. For you who don't know, it's well known in Iceland that charging and anxiety, hleðslukviði in Iceland, which is important to get rid of. Iceland continues to lead the world in harnessing geothermal energy in and around the capital, Reykjavik. There is an entire value chain of geothermal utilization at work. Before we started using our geothermal resource for district heating in 1930s, Reykjavik would often be hidden under a dark cloud of coal dust. Since then, we have built up greenhouses, we enjoy warm outdoor swimming pools, year-round produce electricity in high heat areas, and harness endless opportunities for cascading use of geothermal value streams, including in low heat areas, like we have in Europe and in Germany. Our big push in the energy transition, moving away from the imported fossil fuel of domestic renewable resources, was in the 1970s. In a couple of decades, heating of houses with fossil fuels was replaced with clean geothermal energy. In the 70s, the term climate change was not in our vocabulary, and nobody was talking about the connection between global warming and CO2. Our main focus then was on being independent from imported oil by using the energy under our very feet, which had the advantage of being clean and more convenient than oil. The social and economic benefits of this development have been substantial. The macroeconomic benefits of the geothermal district heating system annually amount to around 7% of our GDP. This is not only because the energy prices of geothermal are usually lower than electricity or import fossil fuel for house heating, it is also that the quality of life is substantially improved. We are keenly aware that we are now in the midst of converging crisis of energy security and climate change. There is a severe energy crisis stemming from Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine. The climate crisis is blooming larger than ever. Notably, the key addressing both issues lies in renewable energy. The crisis has accelerated even more the drive for renewable energy development for the purpose of enhancing energy security and fighting climate change. In Iceland, we are fortunate not to be dependent on Russian oil or gas. Having abundant domestic renewable energy supply enables us to meet 100% of our electricity and heating needs from such resources. The fact that geothermal energy is a domestic source lends it a great role in energy security. It provides a secure and stable energy supply, reducing the need to import non-renewable energy and therefore increasing energy independence. We know there are vast opportunities in Europe for geothermal utilization. I am impressed by Germany's technological developments in harnessing low heat resources. The benefits from drawing on geothermal energy are undeniable and fit well with the EU's goal of promoting secure and clean energy and environmental long-term policies. Geothermal district heating has great potential of replacing a significant part of EU's demand for imported energy. There is a clear potential to expand the use of geothermal both for new district heating systems as well as the use of geothermal instead of fossil fuel in systems that are already operational. But despite being blessed with abundant renewable energy resources in Iceland, we also acknowledge that we need to do more and are committed to do so, including by sharing our experience and green solutions with others. And what we need to do, we need to scale up existing green solutions. And we also need innovation if we want to succeed in averting catastrophic climate change. For Iceland, that brings us again to geothermal energy and technology. Some years ago, Icelandic scientists sought solutions to curb sulfur and carbon emission from geothermal energy productions. These are natural emissions, but concentrated and speeded up by geothermal plants. The result is CarbFix, a revolutionary technology in carbon capture and storage, where CO2 is captured from steam, pumped underground, and turned into minerals in porous basaltic rock. The technology is rapidly evolving and now used for direct air capture at a site near Reykjavik. Big grants from the EU and others are helping us to develop this technology further. This is exciting, but so are other cutting-edge research and innovation projects. The next frontier in the geothermal value chain is superhot geothermal energy. We have endless energy in the mantle of the earth, and Iceland is looking to unlock this vast potential. When we achieve it, it will be a game changer. However, this is something which we cannot do on our own. We need partners to work with, and I can think of no better partner than Germany to work towards this next generation of geothermal energy. We need German science and precision engineering. There is a project in Iceland, Krafla Magma Testbed, also known as KMT, that is working towards building a research infrastructure in the northeast of Iceland, dedicated to drilling into magma. I would like to use this opportunity to invite the German government to join hands with us in solving the challenges associated with harnessing this extreme energy potential. Partnerships and cooperation are essential for solving the daunting tasks ahead. In this regard, Iceland is fortunate, even though we are a bit far away, to have a long-lasting bond and friendship with Germany. I hope that we can build on that connection and strengthen our ties in the area even further. Let us build a clean energy and a stable climate future together. Thank you.